Checkmate, the play by Dan McGee. Interior, a darkened room, night. The lights come on as Elizabeth Black is escorted into the room by Constance White. Both women are well dressed. Elizabeth wears a fur-trimmed coat over a black dress. Constance is in a white tailored suit with a fur coat over it. Constance is perhaps late 40s but looks younger. Elizabeth is definitely younger, perhaps mid to late 20s.
Oh, sorry for those stairs, but I only use this room as a place to just get away and relax.
It's very nice.
Constance leads Elizabeth to two tables in the centre of the room. One table has a chessboard set up and two chairs. Constance holds out a chair for her. Elizabeth slips off her coat, drapes it over the chair back and sits. Constance slips off her coat and sits in the other chair. The second table contains a wine bottle and two glasses. An end table nearby holds a lamp and telephone. Constance picks up the phone and dials one number.
Stevens, thank you for setting the room up for me. My guest and I shall be up here for a while and do not wish to be disturbed. Thank you.
She hangs up the phone.
I understand from some of the ladies at the country club that you were quite a chess player at university. I thought we might enjoy a game.
Yes, that would be fine.
Are we all set? All ready to begin?
I guess so.
Oh, or would you like a drink first? A glass of wine?
That would be nice. Yes, wine would be perfect.
Constance pours two glasses and offers one to Elizabeth. They smile and drink. Elizabeth sets down her glass and is toying with the king on her side of the board. She picks it up and looks at it.
The king. He reminds me so much of your husband, Mark. So upright. So dignified. So strong.
Yes, I suppose you're right.
I'm sorry. I guess I shouldn't talk like that. About your husband, I mean.
You are not the first one to notice. There have been a few others. He is very, very noticeable.
Constance puts her glass down and makes the first move. Pawn to e4. Elizabeth studies the board and makes her move. Knight to c6.
Men are funny sometime. Don't you agree?
Constance makes a move. Knight to c3.
Funny? In what way funny?
Elizabeth starts to make a move, considers, and then makes her move. Knight to h6.
I mean, they start out as boys and then become men, but still on the inside, they're like little boys at times. Women have to lead them.
Constance moves. Knight to f3.
Sometimes that works out better for us.
Elizabeth moves. Pawn to f6.
I suppose so. It gives us a measure of control.
Constance moves. Bishop c4 and then has a sip of wine.
Yes, control does come in handy. It helps us get what we want. Furs, jewelry, trips to Hawaii, and so forth.
Elizabeth makes a move. Pawn to g6 and Constance makes a move. Queen e2.
For instance, that coat you've got, the trim is Russian sable, isn't it?
Why, yes, you're right. Russian sable is my favorite.
Elizabeth makes her move. Bishop g6. Constance sits, thoughtful.
I thought so. I love sable.
Constance makes a move. Pawn e5.
So does Mark.
Does he? Most men don't notice those things, I find.
Well, some do. Well, Mark does. He is very considerate in that regard.
I've heard that. You're very lucky.
Elizabeth moves. Pawn e6.
And you too.
What?
Constance makes her move. Pawn e5.
I mean, that coat was a gift, I take it. Not the kind one receives from a relative, so it must be from someone you are involved with. I would think intimately involved with.
Elizabeth jerks and she nearly drops the piece she is moving, recovers and completes the move. Pawn f6.
Yes, it was a gift.
Constance makes a move. Castle, right side. Sips a bit more wine.
And you aren't going to reveal who it is?
Ah, I prefer to be discreet about that sort of thing.
Hmm. Yes, I see.
Elizabeth makes a move. Queen e7.
Well, I hope that whoever he is, he appreciates that.
Constance makes a move. Pawn to b3. Elizabeth is becoming a bit nervous by the tone of the conversation.
Yes, yes, I'm certain. Certain he does.
And women can always keep a secret like that better than men.
Elizabeth moves. Knight d4. Constance makes a move immediately. Queen d1.
I suppose you're right.
Of course I am. Men can't keep a secret at all. They are as transparent as glass about things like love affairs and who they are spending time with and who they want to run off with.
Elizabeth makes a move. Queen to c5. Her hand is shaking a bit.
Are you cold, dear?
No, no, not at all.
Constance makes a move. Pawn d3 and looks at Elizabeth.
Forgive me. Forgive my curiosity, but I suppose the man is married. Otherwise, you would not be needing discretion.
Elizabeth starts to get up.
I think that,
Let's just finish the game, dear.
the game?
Oh, you're in trouble.
What?
Your king is in jeopardy.
Oh!
Elizabeth makes a hurried move. Pawn g5.
I gather that this is your first time. First time having an affair with a married man, that is. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you.
Constance makes a move. Bishop e3.
No, it's all right. I'm not upset.
Elizabeth forces concentration and eventually makes a move. Pawn to e5.
You just seem a bit tense. That's why I assumed it was your first.
Constance examines Elizabeth for a moment, then makes a move. Knight to d4.
I'm wondering if I know him. I assume he is local. And around here, I know most of the better quality married men.
Elizabeth tries to concentrate and makes a move. Pawn d4.
He is local. And it is my first time.
Well, it's probably just a passing thing.
Constance moves. Queen to h5.
It seems more than that. Than a passing thing. I think I'm in love with him.
Elizabeth moves. Knight to f7 and takes a hurried drink of wine.
Well, I'm sure he feels the same way about you. I mean, look at that coat. There is definitely something going on.
Constance makes a move. Queen to f7. Elizabeth makes one. King d8. And then has another quick drink of wine.
Sometimes don't things just happen, don't they? They just happen.
Constance makes a move. Queen to f6.
Yes, I agree. They can just happen, and no one knows why.
Elizabeth makes a move. Queen to e7.
I suppose no one ever knows.
Take Mark, for instance. I answered the phone 2 weeks ago, and it was a call from a department store. It seemed he had ordered an item to be delivered, and they wanted confirmation. They gave me the name and the address.
They did?
Constance makes a move. Queen to h8.
Yes, they did. So you see, things do happen.
Elizabeth makes a move at Queen to C8, but is trembling visibly.
And I suppose you realize I already knew the name of the man you planned to run off with. So you are also in love with Mark. Well, I suppose I should be flattered, but I'm not. Not a bit. This is not the first time it's happened. He meets someone at the club, the bank, wherever. Things progress for a few months. Then one day he stops seeing them and they are quickly forgotten. It's always the same.
No, he promised me. He said he loves me.
I'm certain he said that. The question is, did he mean it? One never knows about these things. He might just cast you aside. And of course, there's me to consider. I tend to gossip and start rumors. In a small town like this, a young woman's reputation could be permanently damaged. So easily. So very easily.
No, he wouldn't just forget me. I know that he loves me, and I'll get him to admit it, and you can't stop it.
Elizabeth gets up and rushes for the door.
Be careful on those stairs, dear. The top step is...
From off, we hear Elizabeth scream and the sound of a body striking the floor. Constance gets up and walks to the doorway, looks down, smiles and shakes her head sadly. Constance goes to the telephone, dials one number.
Stevens, my young woman visitor has had an accident. Yes, quite dead, I'm afraid. I will need you and Sophia to handle things. Right, the south garden, beside the other two.
She takes a sip of wine.
She may have some money in her bag. You both may divide it as you see fit. Also, she left a coat up here that should fit Sophia. Just be certain to warn her not to wear it in front of Mr. White. No, I didn't poison the wine. This time. Well, she just rushed out and fell down the stairs. That top step is tricky. One day we must do something about it. Oh, I know. Yes, very sad. But these things happen, don't they?
She hangs up and goes back to the chessboard, takes another sip of wine and moves one piece. Bishop to G5.
Checkmate. I win. Again.
She stands up, looking down at the king in her hands, smiling. End of play.
Well played, actors. And we welcome everyone back to the discussion. Again, thinking about dialogue, character development, the premise of the play, the plot, the dramatic effect, and the ending of the place. What grabbed your attention?
I thought the dialogue flowed really well. The actors did a nice job with it. Through the whole thing, we kind of saw where they were and what was coming, and I kind of hoped we would go someplace new at the end, and we did a little bit, but not very much. This is ground we've covered before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was hoping like the tables would turn or something that, right, and that about halfway through the game, all of a sudden it's Constance that's making aggressive moves on the board, and well, I can counter this, but I know he is, but he's told me that you had problems, blah, 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 blah.
Lewis, you have something to say. Go
I'm
ahead.
not sure if it's necessary for the announcer to read all those moves. That takes up about half of the dialogue, and they could just be moving pieces, and you see them moving the pieces.
I imagine that is just stage direction, isn't it? Dave, is that?
Yeah,
Oh,
with
those are just stage.
Yeah,
those stage directions, I kept thinking about the correlation between the chess game and their game of cat and mouse, but it was no real relationship to the chess game until the very end when she says checkmate. So that threw me off the whole thing. I kept wanting the correlation between the game they were playing and the actual chess game.
Yeah, I think this. I think this.
That's a real chess game. It's made in 18 moves. If you play those stage directions, it's made at the end of the 18th move.
Okay, the writer's not allowed to speak right now.
Okay.
Yeah, this is yeah. So you have to wait till the very end to speak.
I was trying to figure out who was the knight and who was the rook.
The dialogue was really lovely. The acting was lovely. There were a lot of things to be commended in this play. But I want to second the fact that the stage directions and reading, you want as few of them as possible. Even if it's on stage, we have no idea where they're moving those pieces. So even if it is a famous team, it's irrelevant. The story here is the conflict between these two women, and that's where the drama should be. So I would suggest that where the moves are going are irrelevant. You can't see them, and stage direction are just another name for putting a screeching halt to the drama. So you have really good actors and really good dialogue. But
Dennis, I don't think the intention. I don't think the intention is the stage directions are read in a live performance. This is because it's Zoom. If you were doing this live on stage, the audience can see it, and you can't have people moving at random. And there will be people in the audience who might know what's going on. So, I mean, I think you have to have it choreographed anyway, and you just wouldn't. I mean, this is a product of Zoom that you're moving them about. But I think those stage directions would be extremely valuable if you're actually putting it on, so you're not having to make all that up. Because in the end, she has to get to checkmate.
Because I thought, I mean, I don't play chess very well, but I was thinking, perhaps you'd have a projection of the game or something. There was some way that the audience could see, those moves, and that it would be.
I'm going to pause for just a moment.
Sorry, Shirley.
I'm going to pause this for just a moment. I apologize, but I see some hands up, and I didn't hear one comment. And also, there's a written comment. There are people that have their microphones on that don't realize that they have their microphones on, and there is noise bleeding through. So check your microphone. If you don't have something to say right now, please mute. And then you can, by the way, if you have your microphone muted, you can press the space bar, and that will temporarily unmute you if you have a comment to make. So now we're going to go back to the discussion. Don,
no, do we give her 5?
Becky, you're one of the people that has the microphone on now. I'm sorry.
Oh, I just did that. Sorry.
No problem at all.
That was not me before.
No, I know it wasn't, and you're fine. Shirley has her hand up, but Shirley, before I get you, Don, I didn't hear your comment before, and I apologize. Would you say yours again, please?
No, I was just trying to. During the conversation, I was trying to discern who was the knight and who was the rook, or who was the knight and who was the pawn.
Bishop.
Or the bishop. I mean, I was trying to see any physical indication or any type of I don't know, something that would make me say, well, okay, they are literally playing the chess game. I saw a movie once where it was a young boy who's learning how to play chess, and every move that he made to foil somebody, you could see in the film he was making L-shaped moves, which basically put him in a knight position where he tried to cover all bases, all areas. Once the knight gets the middle of the board, pretty much has everything covered, a wide range of everything. And from I'm sorry, Brittany's conversation, she had everything covered. And from Jordan, it was more like bishop, rook, pawn, but she was everywhere. She was everywhere, but not centered. And Brittany had all the answers, and didn't have to ask any questions. So, but I like the dialogue, and I like what the actors did with it. Very nice, very nice. What are y'all drinking? No.
Water.
Water. I'm kidding. But no, I enjoyed it. I just look. I like a few other people. I thought there was going to be something new by this being a chess game, and by you. I saw the end where somebody was going to say checkmate, but we didn't get there. But it was still lively and good drinking water going on. So I liked it.
All right, thanks. Shirley, thanks for your patience.
I agree with what Mario said and how the one had the other covered. I've been to chess things, my kids have been to chess things, and a lot of times when you're playing in tournaments or whatever, a lot of times for the younger crowd, they announce their move as they're moving, just in a matter of fact way, like bishop to B2 or whatever. And they could announce just matter of factly, because the one's supposed to have been a chess champion. It's like so-and-so to so-and-so. And then, dear, how did you get that coat? It's you could do it that way, but I did appreciate hearing the stage moves by just listening to it, not seeing it, because I played chess. So it was kind of nice.
Okay, that's a valid point too. If you're familiar, the more of a chess player you are, maybe the more those moves would mean something to you. Gwyneth, did I cut you off? Did you finish your statement before? Okay. Are there any other comments about this play before we move on? I'll say one thing that I appreciated was that the tension was apparent from the very beginning, just by the situation. As soon as this play starts, you can feel the tension between these two characters. All right, Dan. I apologize that we ignored your comments at the end of. Is there anything that you wanted to ask us or just say about your play in response to the comment?
Well, the one comment that I picked up on was the chess moves in the stage directions. The reason I did that, I wanted to make sure that the actors were focused on the game and not just moving the pieces at random on the board, where the audience could see that they didn't know what they were doing, or if you had two actors that don't know how to play chess, they're going to have to learn. I wanted that focus on the game because I thought it added something to the characters, first of all, especially to the wife, and I wanted that conflict to be a little stronger. The competition for the chess game versus eventually the competition for the husband. Other than that,
do you expect the game to be visible to the audience? Because as they were making the moves, I was kind of visualizing the board in my head, and it seemed a bit odd because nothing ever. It was a bit of an odd game because nothing took anything until we got a checkmate.
It doesn't list any of the captures. I should have put that in, I guess. Where some of those moves are capture moves, but again, the stage directions were getting complicated enough. But basically, if you played that game, if you took those stage directions and had two people play the game, it comes out the same every time. It's 18 moves to mate, which is as long as I wanted it to be. I didn't want it to go any longer than that.
I think, Dan, as I said earlier, I mean, I think based on where these shorter plays are performed, it's extremely likely that at least a good proportion of the audience will be able to see the board.
Yeah.
And just to have people moving at random doesn't work. So if you didn't have these moves, someone would have to work them out. At least so people moving consistently, because just moving at random would quickly look ridiculous. You know, people might win in 15 moves or, you know, by accident. So I think this idea, if you're going to do that and focus on it, of having it very specific is actually very important in production.
I thought perhaps of having some type of camera mounted on the stage. It could be done directly over the board. That could put it up on a screen for the audience if you wanted to go that far. I mean, they've got cameras now that obviously, like the one that's taking my picture, that are pretty good for something like that, and aren't very expensive at all. And you could have the whole board showing at various times during the move. Maybe not all of the time. It's it's something to consider.
But I think just to that, Dan, I think the problem is it pulls from the action on the stage.
No.
I don't know people need to do that. I think the actors need to be doing something consistent. So, I don't like these video things where it pulls from the action, because it pulls from the acting, which is really what you're trying to get to as well.
Okay.
Or you can minus some moves and dialogue going on, and just have the wife pull a fool's mate on her.
Yeah, that's possible.
Well, that's all good comment, and certainly things to be considered from the director's standpoint, especially.